You reach for the light switch, one click, and the world disappears. You pull the duvet up, settle into your mattress, and close your eyes. Your biggest worry is whether your phone is charging for the morning alarm. But something strange happens in the silence. A floorboard creaks in the hallway. Your eyes snap open. Your heart rate jumps from 60 to 90 in a single second. You lie perfectly still, breathing shallow, listening, waiting, scanning the darkness for something you cannot name. Why? You are in a concrete building. You have steel locks on the doors. There is nothing in your hallway that can kill you. And yet your body reacts as if your life depends on it. Because it is not you who is reacting. It is the ancient software running in the background of your nervous system, a program written 300,000 years ago. In a world where the sound of a creaking branch meant a leopard was testing the perimeter of your camp. For 99% of human history, the moment the sun dropped below the horizon was not bedtime. It was the beginning of the most dangerous shift you would ever work. We are diurnal primates. Our superpower is our vision, sharp, color-rich, depth-aware, and in the dark. That superpower is stripped from us completely. We become slow. We become blind. We become prey. A leopard does not need to be faster than you. It only needs to see you in a world where you cannot see it. Look at your own behavior tonight. You check the lock one more time. Even though you already checked it. You keep the hallway light on. You sleep closer to the wall, or closer to your partner, and you feel safest with your back covered. None of these choices were taught to you. No one sat you down and explained that the dark once contained teeth and claws. You simply inherited the fear. The way you inherited the color of your eyes, as a quiet gift from people who were afraid at the right moment, and therefore lived long enough to become your ancestors. Every single night, your ancestors faced a question that you will never have to ask yourself: how do I survive until the sun comes back? In this video, we are going to walk into that darkness together. We are going to discover what actually happened when the prehistoric world went black, the strategies, the terrors, the inventions, and the social bonds that were forged in the absence of light. And by the end, you will understand why you still pull the blanket up to your chin, why you still cannot sleep in a completely silent house, why your grandmother wakes up at 3 in the morning for no reason. None of it is random, all of it is ancient, and all of it kept you alive. Before we mastered fire, the night was a wall, an absolute, impenetrable wall between one day and the next. Let me paint the picture for you. The sun touches the horizon, the sky turns orange, then purple, then black, and in that moment, every single member of your group, 20, maybe 30 people, feels the same chemical flood. Cortisol spikes, adrenaline tightens the muscles, the brain switches from foraging mode to threat detection mode. Because out there, in the gathering dark, things are waking up. The leopard, the hyena, the saber-toothed cat. These animals have eyes that are biological miracles of night vision. Their retinas are packed with rod cells designed to capture the faintest photon of starlight. They see the world in high definition while we are stumbling over rocks. Imagine the mathematics of that world. A leopard can move through dry grass at night without producing a single sound your ears can catch. It can see your silhouette at 50 meters in starlight alone. Your group, by contrast, is a collection of blind, soft-skinned primates huddled on a branch, guessing. In that equation, hiding was never a solution. It was a delay. Every night you survived was not a victory. It was a coin flip that happened to land in your favor, and the coin was flipped again tomorrow, and the next night, and the next. For 10,000 generations, we had no claws, we had no fangs, we could not run fast in the dark without breaking an ankle, and we could not see the attack coming until it was already on top of us. So what did we do? We froze. The earliest strategy was absolute stillness. As soon as the light failed, our ancestors climbed into trees, pressed themselves into narrow rock crevices, or curled up in shallow caves with only one entrance. They pulled their limbs tight, they slowed their breathing, they became as invisible as possible. But here is the problem with hiding: you have to sleep eventually. And sleep is the single most vulnerable state a living creature can enter. Your muscles go limp, your awareness drops to almost zero. You cannot fight, you cannot run, you can barely hear. Anthropologist Sarah Blaffer HRDY, who has spent decades studying cooperative survival in early humans, describes this period as the vulnerability bottleneck. Every single night was a genetic filter. The individuals who survived the night passed on their genes. The ones who did not, who slept too deeply, who chose a bad location, who were too far from the group, were removed from the gene pool permanently. This is why you feel uneasy sleeping alone. This is why an empty house at night feels wrong. It is not anxiety, it is memory. Your brain remembers a time when being alone in the dark meant you would not see the sunrise. The group was the only technology we had, and even that was not enough. Not yet. So how did 25 people with no weapons and no fire survive a night full of apex predators? They became one animal. Imagine it. The temperature drops, the sun is gone, the group gathers in a shallow cave or beneath a rock overhang, and they pile together, not neatly, not politely. They collapse into a tangled mass of limbs, backs, and heads, arms draped over legs, children pressed between adults, elders in the center, surrounded by the strongest bodies. Researchers call this the puppy pile, and it is exactly what it sounds like, a heap of warm bodies functioning as a single sensory organism. Why does this work? Because 30 sleeping humans create a living alarm network. If one person feels a vibration in the ground, a heavy footstep approaching, that person's body tenses. That tension transfers through physical contact to the person next to them. Within 2 seconds, the entire group shifts from deep sleep to alert wakefulness. No one has to scream. No one has to explain. The body speaks, and the group responds. But the puppy pile was not just an alarm system. It was a thermal necessity. Without fire, without clothing, the prehistoric night could drop temperatures to dangerous levels. A single human body loses heat rapidly, but 25 bodies pressed together create a microclimate. The core temperature of the pile stays stable. The individuals on the outside rotate inward periodically, ensuring no one freezes. And notice who slept in the center. The children, the elderly, the sick. The pile was not a random heap. It was a fortress with a deliberate architecture, placing the most vulnerable bodies at the warmest, safest point, surrounded by the strongest. That arrangement was not written down anywhere. It did not need to be. It was felt, instinctively, by every adult who ever lay down on the cold side of the pile and accepted it without complaint. Sleep in the prehistoric world was never peaceful. It was a low-grade vigilance. Even in the deepest stage of rest, part of the brain was still listening, still watching, still waiting for the sound that would send everyone scrambling into the dark. And then, one night, something changed. One of our ancestors looked at a burning bush and did not run away. Fire did not just change human history, it restructured time itself. Before fire, the day ended when the sun ended. You had maybe 12 hours of usable light, and then you were sealed in darkness for the remaining 12. Fire broke that seal. It gave us 4, 5, sometimes 6 extra hours of wakefulness every single day. But the first and most important thing fire gave us was not light. It was a boundary. Think about what a campfire actually does to the night. It creates a circle. Inside the circle, warmth, visibility, safety. Outside the circle, the unknown. The fire draws a hard line in the dirt and says, beyond this point, you are in their world. Inside this point, you are in ours. Predators hate fire. This is not folklore. This is optics. A big cat's eyes are optimized for capturing tiny amounts of ambient light, starlight, moonlight, the faint glow of bioluminescence. When you put a roaring campfire in front of those eyes, you are not illuminating the predator. You are blinding it. The fire overloads its visual system. The cat cannot see you clearly through the glare. And what it cannot see clearly, it will not attack. Fire also fought the smallest enemies. The smoke of a smoldering green branch drives mosquitoes and biting flies away from the sleeping pile, insects that carried disease long before anyone knew what disease was. And the embers themselves were a treasury. Losing the fire meant hours of exhausting labor to restart it. So the last burning coal was carried, guarded, and fed like a living thing. Some groups never let their fire die at all. It was inherited, passed from camp to camp. Generation to generation, a continuous flame that, in a very real sense, is still burning in your candle and the pilot light of your stove. And so that safety bubbles was born, a dome of light and heat in the middle of an infinite dark. Inside that bubble, for the first time in the history of our species, humans could relax, could lower their guard, could do something other than survive. They could talk. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner spent years studying the Juehonsi Bushmen of southern Africa. She recorded hundreds of hours of conversation and discovered a stunning pattern. During the day, 80% of conversation is practical. Who is hunting where the water is, who owes whom. But at night, around the fire, the numbers flip. 80% of nighttime conversation is stories, myths, legends, gossip about people who are not present, planning for futures that have not happened yet. Fire gave us the night, and the night gave us culture. But fire has a problem. It dies. A campfire needs fuel. It needs tending. If it goes out in the middle of the night, the safety bubble collapses, and every sleeping person becomes prey again. This means someone must always be awake, and this is where your insomnia comes from. Researchers who actually measured this, sleeping among the Hadza of Tanzania with wrist monitors, recorded something astonishing. In a camp of 33 people, there was not a single moment, across hundreds of hours of recording, when everyone was asleep at once. Someone was always awake. The probability of the entire camp sleeping simultaneously was, for all practical purposes, 0. The tribe, as a whole, never slept. Only individuals did. But who stays awake? This is where it gets beautiful. Evolution solved the night watch problem by giving different age groups different sleep schedules. The elderly, grandparents, the wise ones, naturally go to bed early. They fall asleep at 7 or 8 in the evening, and they wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning. They are the first watch. Their job is to feed the fire through the deepest hours of the night, when the predators are most active and the cold is most dangerous. The young adults and teenagers, they do the opposite. They stay up late. They cannot fall asleep until 11 midnight, 1 in the morning. They are the second watch. They cover the hours between the elders' sleep and the dawn. And the watchers were not anxious guards pacing with spears. They were calm. They fed the fire, mended tools, told quiet stories, looked at the stars. The night shift was the quietest, most creative hour of the day, which may be why, to this moment, you do your best thinking at midnight. This is not a generational conflict. This is not your grandmother being weird for waking up at 4 a.m. This is not you being broken because you cannot fall asleep before 2. This is a perfectly evolved rotation system. Every member of the tribe has a built-in shift, and because of this rotation, the fire never dies, the watch never breaks, the group survives. Your insomnia is not a bug, it is a feature. It is the echo of a night watch that kept your ancestors alive for 300,000 years. The next time you wake up at 3 in the morning and cannot fall back asleep, remember, you are not malfunctioning. You are taking your shift. Somewhere deep in your DNA, you are scanning the perimeter for leopards. Night was not only for sleeping and storytelling, it was for making. During the day, every hour was consumed by the immediate demands of survival, hunting, gathering, processing food, moving camp. There was no time to sit still and focus on delicate work. The daylight belonged to the body, but the firelight night belonged to the hands. Archaeological sites across Europe and Africa reveal something fascinating. The most finely crafted tools, the delicately knapped arrowheads, the carefully stitched bone needles, the woven nets and baskets, show evidence of being made in stable, seated positions over long periods. This is not the work of someone standing in the hot sun, glancing over their shoulder for predators. This is the work of someone sitting cross-legged by a fire, in the quiet hours, with nothing to do but focus. Night became the workshop. While the children slept and the elders tended the flame, the skilled crafters worked. They threaded sinew through the eyes of bone needles, stitching together the multi-layered clothing that would allow them to survive the approaching ice age. They chipped obsidian and flint into razor-sharp points, testing each edge against their thumbnail in the flickering light. They wove plant fibers into nets and cordage. This was meditative work, repetitive, quiet, the crack of stone on stone, the whisper of fiber through fiber, the occasional pop and hiss of the fire. Outside the light circle, the night breathed and growled, but inside, the hands moved with purpose. Every time you find yourself working late into the night, hunched over a laptop, sketching in a notebook, fixing something in your garage at midnight, you are running this ancient program. The quiet hours, the focused mind, the fire at your back keeping the dark at bay. You are in the workshop. You have always been in the workshop. Today, we have flooded the world with artificial light, street lamps, screens, LEDs that glow in every color of the spectrum. We have pushed the darkness back so far that most of us have never experienced a truly starlit night, never felt the absolute, crushing blackness that our ancestors lived in for 300,000 years. And yet your brain still checks the shadows, still flinches at the creak, still pulls the blanket up to protect the soft skin of your throat, still wakes at 3 in the morning and listens to the silence, still feels a primal relief when you see a lit window in a dark street, a warm glow in a cold distance. That relief is the same dopamine hit your ancestors felt when they saw the campfire from a mile away and knew, I am going to be safe tonight. We conquered the night. We broke the wall. We turned the territory of death into the territory of dreams. But we did not erase the program. It still runs. It still watches. It still waits. Because somewhere deep in your DNA, the sun has not fully risen yet, and the fire must not go out. If you want to keep exploring what your body remembers about the world you were built for, hit subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it helps keep this kind of storytelling alive. The night is long, but we have made it through before. See you in the next era.